after Kria finally met her end in a mutual kill with her rival Gorgon, boss of the Goliath Iron Tree Lord's gang. Her body was later collected by the Flesh Techs and placed within an amniotic tank. From there, the process to bring her back to life began, and when Kria re-emerged as a Death Maiden, her blood was now toxic and her mind had been stripped of whatever shreds of humanity she once had. Despite this, the mantle of Death Maiden rests well upon Kria's shoulders, and dying and coming back from the beyond has done little to diminish her skills as a tracker and a hunter. Her toxic blood, meanwhile, has made Kria even more deadly, and the Death Maiden has been known to use it to poison her weapons, along with savouring the look in her prey's eyes as she draws a knife across her own flesh. Kria now serves as a bounty hunter for House Escher, and has become the top enforcer for the house's matriarch council. At their sole discretion, she will fight alongside other Escher gangs, though a suitably generous bribe will certainly aid any request for her intervention as a bounty hunter. G'day and welcome to Wellywood Wargaming. My name is Damon and this is the series where I give you bite-sized videos on every single dramatis personae or special character in the game of Necromunda. Before I get into it though with Kria Kytoro, please do like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon as well to support me further. So Kria the Huntress Kytoro, this is one of the earliest models that was released for Games Workshop from some cover art, which is actually pretty bang on to the cover art, to be honest. I can't remember where the cover art was, but it was in one of the early books anyway. This chick, fantastic model from Forge World. I still haven't got my hands on one. I would like to get one at some point, but just haven't got round to it. So, you know, if you're feeling generous, do send me one. But she's 240 credits. We're going to get into the rules in a second. But yeah, let's just have a look at the miniature quickly. Really lovely miniature. She looks a lot more dumpy than her illustration, which is a shame. But I mean, Games Workshop scale is pretty dumpy. So most of the sort of Escher chicks do look a little bit dumpy in some regards, I suppose. What I mean by that is just a bit squat shaped, I suppose. Anyway, lovely model. She is clearly a Death Maiden as she has the elaborate feathered headdress with a skull on it, a long las over the shoulder, which initially I thought was a las gun, but she's been given a long las, which is fantastic. And then the offhand, she's got an auto pistol down there with some braids hanging down, and she's just sort of striding forward, looking pretty boss. And that's Kria Kytoro's model from Forge World. Definitely worth getting, I reckon. But yeah, like I said, I haven't seen it close up to know how good it is, but I do really like it, and I wouldn't mind painting that one up. So the rules, 240 credits for Kria. She's definitely one of the better dramatis personae or bounty hunters in the game. She is, however, Escher only, so you can only use her with Escher gangs, which is a bit unfortunate, but she's a Death Maiden, so you gotta allow Escher to have their little toys. Anyway, the stats, we've got movement 5, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+. So she's not quite as fighty as your typical Death Maiden, but she's just as shooty. She's got a strength and toughness of 3. Please do remember, though, that this chick came out way before the House of Blades book, so she doesn't have the updated stats that the current Death Maidens have. She is somewhat different to that, but she still is, by law, a Death Maiden. So strength and toughness of 3, she doesn't have the toughness 4 or the weapon skill 2+ of a standard Death Maiden. She has, however, got 3 wounds, which is excellent, as opposed to 2 wounds that you'd get on your normal Death Maiden. Initiative 3 up, which is again is not quite as good as your normal Death Maiden, and 2 attacks, which again lower than your regular Death Maiden. I probably shouldn't compare her too much to a standard Death Maiden because she is very different and she fulfills a different role. Mental stats, we've got leadership 6, cool 5+, willpower 6+, intelligence 6+, so far better than average on the mental stats there. And again, for 240 credits, she is pretty good. As a bounty hunter, she'd be a pretty good outcast leader as well, if I'm honest. If you want a Death Maiden who is definitely a very different role to your traditional Death Maiden. Now, traditionally, your Death Maidens are very, very fighty in close combat, absolute beasts. This one, however, is quite the opposite. She is more of a sniper. The reason being, we've got 3 skills built in here. We've got Infiltrate, which means that you can get into great positions. I mean, Infiltrate's just such a powerful skill in general. It's great on anybody. We've also got Precision Shot and Step Aside as well. So Step Aside being the only sort of normal sort of skill there, but Precision Shot and Infiltrate are 2 skills that you're never going to get on an Escher list, really. So it's really nice to be able to have a shooting skill and a cunning skill on an Escher character. But we've also got a long las with an infrasight, auto pistol, throwing knives, and stiletto knife. So the long las is a pretty good weapon. We've got 36-inch range, I believe, on the long rifle with +1 to hit at long range, with the infrasight as well. So with a ballistic skill of 3+, we've got the infrasight, which reduces cover by 1 technically. So you've got hard cover turns into soft cover turns into nil. Very, very nice indeed. You can also see through smoke and in the dark and stuff too. It's a good weapon. I mean, it's only 20 credits, I believe, from the trading post, but it's solid. You know, it's strength 4. It doesn't have any AP, but it is a nice sort of weapon early on in a campaign before people get lots of armor. Then it becomes a problem when you haven't got to the focusing crystal or whatever. Auto pistol, always nice to have as a backup pistol. Throwing knives are pretty good on a character like this, and stiletto knife as well. She also has a chem synth to use on her throwing knives and stiletto knife too, but she does not have the special rule that your general Death Maidens get, which is, I believe, Toxic Blood or whatever, where she gets to re-roll wound rolls of a 1. She does not get that here, because again, she was created before the House of Blades book. Mesh armor and a chem synth, yeah. What's not to like? I really like her. She's certainly no Yar Umbra, but she's up there as a decent sniping option. There are a couple of snipers in this game that we're going to get into a little bit later on because they're down in the S's and the Y's. But Kria offers something quite unique to House Escher in terms of a sniper with that infiltrate and that precision shot. It's pretty cool. You could use her as an outcast leader, as mentioned before. She wouldn't be that exciting, but I think in a campaign, if you started off with her and you ended up giving her better weapons, you could end up, you know, with a, I don't know, you could go and build this character in multiple different ways and give her some other sort of skills. You could even make her into a psycho with that decent willpower as well. I don't know. The options are limitless here, but that's Kria anyway, and that's me over and out.